Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. But in today's video, I will be answering the question, is the 2020 election race tightening? Now, there was obviously a lot of talk back in, June, July about Joe Biden being up by historic margins, going against an incumbent. But now people are talking about how the race has tightened a little bit. And I'm going to be answering the question, has that really happened? Well, looking at the national average first, that's the most telling one. We have the most polls from the national average that can show us the most trends. Now, obviously, you can see that Joe Biden did peak around, plus 10.2, which was around June 23rd there, almost 2 months ago now. He did go down to around, 6.4, I believe was his lowest point, still being ahead by 6.4, which is a lot, historically. Even if you look at 2008, for example, Barack Obama only won the popular vote by 7 percentage points, and he had an historic landslide. Joe Biden's lowest point in, all the way since back in May, was at 6.4 percentage points now. But now we can see here he is at plus 7.6 percentage points. This would be bigger than Obama's victory here, and would be a pretty big victory, and it translates down to the state level as well. But looking at these individual polls here, you cannot look at individual polls and say, this is what the race looks like right now. For example, we had the Economist YouGov poll showing Joe Biden up by 10 percentage points. We also had the Rasmussen Reports poll showing Joe Biden up by 4 percentage points. That's a 6-point difference. And you also have another number of different, differing results. You have the CNN poll, which bounces around a lot, showing Biden up by 4. You have the Hill-Harris-X poll showing Biden up by 6. And you have a number of polls showing him up by almost double digits, some even showing him up by double digits. But the thing that you have to note for this is that, you just throw these all into the aggregate, and that gives you a better result of what the actual race looks like. And when you throw them all in the aggregate, it looks like Biden plus 7.6. Is that down from what it was before? Yes, down from what it was 2 months ago, but it's been around this, number for quite a while now. It's been, below 8 since at least the end of July. It is now almost the end of August here, and you can see that Joe Biden is still up by that margin. But if you compare it to 2016 here, we can see, the 2016 race changed a lot more. You can look at, for example, in March, Hillary Clinton was up at one point by 11.2 percentage points back in March there, and then just 2 months later, Trump was up in the popular vote. Then if we look at around the convention area, the Republican convention, Donald Trump went up by 1.1 percentage points. The Democratic convention, put Hillary up by around 6 percentage points, and then she ended up coming down very close. It was only up by 1 percentage point, and then again she was up by around 7 percentage points, and then it ended up her winning by 3.2 percentage points according to the polls when you average all of this up. Now you can see the LA Times poll, for example, showed Trump winning by 3, and the Economist YouGov polls showed Clinton winning by 4. The Monmouth poll showed a winning by 6, and you have to average those all out, put them all in the aggregate, and they show Clinton up by 3.2 percentage points. And so this does show that the race changes a lot. And if you want to look at it, Joe Biden has been, historically consistent here, compared to, if you want to look, at 2016, for example, it bounced around a lot. In 2020, it hasn't bounced around much at all. It's been pretty stagnant for Joe Biden here. But if we do want to look at, some other signs that the race may be tightening, you can look at the fact that Donald Trump raised $165 million in July, compared to Joe Biden, who got $140 million. That is a change from when Joe Biden outraised Donald Trump in both the months of May and June, and so that is showing something. But it's looking like Joe Biden will actually outraised Donald Trump by quite a bit in the August numbers. If you look at, right after Kamala Harris was announced as the vice presidential pick, that he raised an absurd amount of money. It was something like $30-40 million just after she was announced as the pick. And so that she probably will outraise Donald Trump for that month. And also he does have a huge ad buy, Joe Biden, of $280 million ad buy in 15 states, as blue as Virginia, as red as Texas. And so we'll see, how much of an impact that has as well. So it's $220 million for television ads and $60 million for digital ads. You've probably seen the Joe Biden as you've probably seen the Donald Trump ads, and we'll see how much of an impact that actually has on the race. But looking how it translates over to the state level, is it tightening at the state level too? We're looking at these battleground maps, for example, these battleground states. For example, if we look at the polling averages here in the battleground states, for example, Wisconsin, Biden 6.5, Minnesota, Biden +7. So those are both likely margin states there. Wisconsin also showed Hillary Clinton up by 6.5 percentage points in 2016, but Hillary Clinton only had 47 something percent of the vote. Biden's up at 50% of the vote, so there's less undecided voters to come over to the side of Donald Trump, that you saw in 2016, for example, where the state where the undecided voters broke most of Trump was Wisconsin. That was also the state where the polls were most off. North Carolina, however, shows a tilt margin for Joe Biden, and Florida shows a likely margin, actually, for Joe Biden. North Carolina's tilt Trump, and Florida is likely Biden here. If we also look at the state of Pennsylvania, it's also likely Biden, and in Arizona is lean Biden, Pennsylvania likely Biden there, and if you look, Michigan's also likely Biden. Ohio is actually lean Biden, Iowa is tilt Trump, Texas is tilt Trump, Georgia is tilt Trump, and New Hampshire is likely Biden. So this is according to the polls here, and the polls are showing, that Joe Biden is really in a good position. Now, you're assuming that the polls, for example, are going to be enough in Ohio. I don't think most people would argue that Joe Biden is not going to win Ohio. I don't think that's something that's very realistic. But then you're getting into the scenario where, also Nebraska second, probably, tilt Biden. Then you're getting into the scenario where, Donald Trump basically has to pick off Florida. He probably also has to pick off Arizona. He probably also has to pick off Wisconsin, and then he'd have to pick off, actually, at that point, he'd end up winning with 269 electoral votes. So he's going to have to pick up those states, but you're assuming that you'll have the same polling errors in Wisconsin. You're assuming that the polls in Arizona, which were very accurate in 2016, are going to be off in your favor as well. You're assuming that the polls are going to be off in Florida, where they were accurate in 2016, and you're assuming that you're still going to win where you're only narrowly winning in North Carolina. So you're looking at the scenario with all these tilt margin states plus Ohio there. Joe Biden's at 352 electoral votes, and I don't think Joe Biden's going to win Ohio when it's all said and done. I don't think he's going to win North Carolina. I think that he may even not win Florida, but at that point, it doesn't even matter, because even if he loses Arizona, Joe Biden still ends up winning. And so, getting back to what the polls look like here, if we go to here based on what the polls look like, this does not show that the race is tightening. Sure, Joe Biden was winning in North Carolina before. He was winning by Arizona by a lot more. He was winning in Michigan by more. He was winning in Pennsylvania by more. And I admit that the race may be tightening a little bit, but you have to look at it in perspective. Joe Biden was up by historic margins against an incumbent that really have not been seen, at least in the history of modern polling. For example, if you look at 1988, Dukakis was beating George Bush by quite a bit, but George Bush wasn't an incumbent. But we haven't really seen this kind of situation before. And Donald Trump definitely has a chance to tighten the race. He has the ability to tighten the race. He brought it from around 7 points to 3 points in the average in, just a couple weeks back in October. But what's going to make this margin closer? An economic recovery, the GDP numbers that come out a couple days before the election. And so that's something that you're going to have to, wait and see for. I do admit, again, that the race may be tightening a little bit, but you have to put it in perspective. Joe Biden is still in a comfortable lead. You'd much rather be Joe Biden than you would rather be Donald Trump. And so overall, it's looking like, Joe Biden's in a pretty good position. And the answer to the final question, yes, the race is tightening. So thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. So thank you all for watching this video, guys, and I will see you guys later.